So we just looked at how to embed HTML using the context escaping. And we're going to have to do something similar with to embed YouTube videos because they load entire websites, right, using iframes. So by default, iframes are considered untrusted resources, and so we have to use the same SCE service, to tell Angular whether we trust this content or not, right? So to embed a video. Oh, am I recording? Yes. To embed a video, we would go to, let's see if we go to YouTube, and let's see, let's just go to normal YouTube. Bless you. And let's see, let's load my next car here. Let's grab it. And typically what you would do is you would embed it. You have this iframe. You would copy that iframe. And you would just paste it in here. If you do that, and you load our page, notice that the video indeed loads. Right, there it is. And notice that Angular had nothing to do with this. Right, we hard-coded that iframe, and that's fine. Right, the browser doesn't balk at this. The browser says, well, you copied and pasted in there. I'm nobody to second guess you, right? That you trust this iframe. Yes. So the iframe says, the browser says, you copied and pasted there. I assume you trust the content from that page. But it's different if this src instead is something that is calculated. Now it's different, right? You're saying that that's a dynamic URL that is stored in some database that who knows how to get there, right? Who knows who has access to that database, and adding these things, there might be editors and there might be folks that are not developers, right, that are using a content management system to copy and paste URLs here and there, right? And who knows if that's trustworthy. And Angular, by default, says, if you want to render that, I'm first going to ask you, really, do you want to do this? Again, through the SCE library. Right, so if we re-render this, right, it's asking us it's insecure URL. We blocked that URL because it's insecure. Use the SCE library to vote whether you trust this content or not. That makes sense? All right. So we need to do something similar. We need to say model trust URL resource, right? And we're going to pass that argument. And the controller is going to decide whether indeed we trust that URL or not. Okay. So let's implement that on the controller. Now we're going to say model.trust that, and let's implement it in a function, the same name, and this is the URL. Okay. So that URL. Now that URL, right now, we're just going to console URL display it. We're not going to return anything just yet. So if we do we do console? Trust, model trust resource doesn't find console. Wait, are we getting in here? Model. Why are you not? So I need this maybe? Okay, there it is. So it's passing us the URL. There it is. And right now, that URL is a link, right, to an image, to a video. Yes. But notice that the iframe, right? Notice that we're using this URL, URLs like this, to actually embed an image. Notice that the URL is a little bit different. See that? Right. So if I show you. Notice that the URL is a little bit different, right? It starts with HTTP as www YouTube embed and then an ID. See that? But what we have instead in our data model is the following, right? It's this URL over here. This is not quite the same structure. See that? It's almost the same. The only thing that is the same is the last part, the very last part. See that? So somehow with this URL that is in our data model, we need to build this URL over here. We need to build it. So what we could do is maybe grab that last piece, the ID, yeah, and then build this URL. Right? So we can start by building that URL. You can say var YouTube URL. Start it off with that. And then we have to grab the ID from the last piece of this URL. Yes? All right, so let's do that. We can say var URL parts. We can explode the URL by using split. So split is going to split this URL into pieces in an array of strings. Right? We're going to split it on the slash. Right? So split it on the slash. So URL parts is going to be an array of strings. It's going to have this string, then that string, and then that string. So the last string contains the ID. Yes? Right? So the URL, the YouTube URL is going to be what? YouTube URL is going to be the appending of the original YouTube URL and appending the last string here, right? The last one, length, -1. Right, so the last elements in that array. And then we need to return whether we trust that URL or not. And we're going to say, yes, we're going to trust that URL. I don't remember what the link is, and that's the boat I'm going to buy. And so we're going to trust as URL, maybe? As URL. I thought there was like a resource or something. Trust as a resource, maybe? There it is, a trust URL resource, this one. We're going to say return that I do trust this SRC, SCE, right? Trust this URL. Okay, so let's do that. Let's reload that. And there it is. Now it's being embedded. See that? It's being correctly embedded as the content that we had intended, right? But it's being done dynamically, right? It's not being done by hard coding this. Somebody can edit this, right? Could edit the URL to be something else, right? To be a completely different video, right? And that's what's dangerous, right? That somebody can actually paste bad data in there, right? And we have to look at it and says, do we trust this? Is this a valid URL, right? Does it have the format of a URL? Right? We can do that validation as opposed to, this was not copy and pasted deliberately, right? Okay. All right, so there we have all the widgets are being rendering right now, right? Let's move on to how is it that we could make this a little better, perhaps into separate files. How could this be improved?